This tutorial is geared toward players that are a little bit newer to Star Citizen, so make sure to check the timeline to find the material you're looking for. I've tried to make this as condensed and simple as I can while allowing things to be clear. Before we get started, I want to make sure that everyone here knows about the website Erkul.games. Check the description for links and make sure that when you log in, you have the correct version of the game that you're playing selected on the top right. This isn't going to be an Erkul tutorial, so I'm not going to get deep into it, but just know that here you can check loadouts for your ships and find out where the components are sold. This is important because before we do any farming in the Vulture, we want to make sure that we have Abrade Scrapers. Once purchased, open your Moby Glass and navigate to the Vehicles tab. If your vehicle does not show up on the list, it's because your vehicle is not stationed at the current location. If your vehicle does show up, then go ahead and equip the items. Once you equip the items, make sure to save, close your Moby Glass, then reopen the Moby Glass, and make sure that the item is saved on your ship, as sometimes Star Citizen likes to ignore your save commands. Let's go ahead and open our map. From here we'll zoom out just so we can see the station. For example, I'll be using Corel 1, however, you can use any Lagrange point in the system. All you have to do is, if you're uncertain, read the description on the station to make sure that you're a Lagrange point. Now this can be done at Pyro as well, only in Pyro the stations are not called Lagrange points. That said, there's no increase in materials in Pyro, and it's more annoying to sell your items, so really there's no point of doing this anywhere but Staten at the moment. From here on, we're just going to decouple our ship and fly straight out of the station. I like going towards the sun or away from the sun so that I can keep track of which direction I'm always traveling, but the goal is to turn on your scanner and scan around for signatures. You're looking for signatures in multiples of 2000s. For example, this one here is a 10,000, so that falls in our category. Anything like 2,000, 4,000, 6,000, and so on is going to be panels. So now that we're here at our first panel, first thing we're going to cover is safety. Whenever you're out salvaging any material, you want to keep your radar signature as low as possible. That's why I like to run stealth components on my Vulture, but it also helps to turn off all unnecessary systems. I turn everything off but my propulsion, my salvager heads, and my scanner. The goal is to detect the enemy before they detect you, and if I ever see anything noteworthy of danger, I swap over to nav mode and warp away. Now the one thing we can't warp away from is increasing health insurance cost. That's why I've decided to find my own coverage by starting Better Health, working with 1099s to obtain superior PPO coverage at more affordable rates. Learn more at betterhealthinsurance.co. Now how you like to salvage is up to you. Some people like to use the gimbals by hitting G on their keyboard by default, and some people, such as myself, like to maneuver around the object. The main tool you do want to play with is beam spacing under key bindings in salvage controls. All this key binding does is separate the beam spacing. Just play around with it and you'll get a feeling for what works best for you. I keep the beams a little bit off center just to have a wider range of cover while still maintaining good salvage speed in the center. And all that's left to do is to fill up your cargo space. Now that our cargo is full, we'll work our way to the back of the ship. But before you take the ladders down, do a 180 spin and walk backwards. You know, unless this ruins your immersion. Now that we're down at the main compartment, let's navigate over to the console. In the console, make sure to have auto eject on. As long as you see that it's highlighted brighter yellow, it means that it's on. That said, don't begin ejecting unless you have a multi-tool. And don't worry, the only reason I didn't cover this earlier is because you can craft one inside the Vulture, saving you some AUEC. We're going to navigate back to the console, go over to crafting, craft a multi-tool, and the tractor beam. Just in case you guys don't know, once you have your multi-tool equipped, make sure to hit the Inspect Tool option and navigate to your tractor beam to equip it. Now, if for whatever reason you took too much time and production of crates is stopped, just go back over to the console and continue ejection. Now, while the Vulture has space for 12 SCU, you can fit a few more boxes on the side. Now, this is not a cargo grid, so sometimes gravity may play funky games with you, but it will make your runs more efficient. Now back to the pilot seat. So before we keep looking around for more salvage, it's always nice to set your waypoint back to the station you originated from so that warping back is quicker, especially if you get located by an enemy hostile. Now I've already completed a second run, so with that I'm going to head back to the station. Just make sure to park your ship as close as you can to the elevator hangar just to make your unloading life easier. You can also go straight to a trade center to sell your cargo if you don't have a hauler, but we're going to cover the hauling aspect of this as well. Now don't forget to come out the side of the ship instead of the back, as there's no way you're fitting through the back if you did 2 full loads. Now all that's left to do is to move the cargo from your Vulture to the elevator. The most time efficient way is to use your mouse wheel to move your tractor beam back and forward without having to move yourself much. Once everything's in the elevator, we just have to select all and move to warehouse. Then lower the elevator and you're done. Now all that's left to do is to load it into your hauler and take it to your favorite trade spot. Now if you don't have a favorite trade spot, navigate over to UEX and find your spot today. Just make sure to check the description for a link. And all that's left to do is to move all your cargo into your hauler of choice. If you already have a bit of AUEC and you want to speed up the process of loading and unloading, then we're going to head over to a main station such as Seraphim. Any of the stations that revolve around the planet are main stations. From here on, it's pretty straightforward. We're going to head over to the station where the items are sold, buy as many as you can afford, though mind you, this also depends on how big your hauler is. Then transfer the items back to where our material is, load the material into the new crates, then into your hauler, and off we go to sell. I know it involves a lot of setup, but once everything's in place, it makes your hauling jobs a lot easier. That's going to be it for this guide. And if you're tired of dying all the time in space, make sure to check out my combat guides. I have a plethora of videos to go through. That's going to be it, guys, and as always, I'll catch you on the next one.